Hey, what's going on with you all? Thank you for tapping in with me again today. And if you're new to the channel, my name is Cleveland. So welcome to the Fish Corner, everyone. If you're new to the channel, please do a few things before this video gets started. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and lastly, hit the like button for me one time. Now let's get into the video. So today in this video, I want to talk to you all about starting your very first saltwater aquarium. Let's just assume that you decided today to finally get started on the saltwater side of the hobby. Now, we are going to go over what you need, the steps you need to take, and hopefully we can get you started by having a saltwater aquarium by the end of today. All right, let's get into it. So I have this whiteboard right here because it's pretty much going to be a checklist. We are going to do a little checklist of things that we need to get started with the saltwater side of the hobby. Now, what is the first thing that you think that we would need? An aquarium. All right, we'll go with aquarium. Now that we got the aquarium, what do we need in that aquarium? Well, we need to go with that aquarium. We need lights. We need a heater. We'll need a circulation pump later on. All right. It's not absolutely mandatory to set it up, but those are the things that we will need. What else will we need? Obviously, the aquarium needs to come with a lid, right? Okay, so those are the basics. Right here, those are the basics. What else will we need? Now we have the aquarium set up, we have the heater, the light, circulation pump, aquarium with the lid. Now we got to worry about what we're going to put inside of there. So this is the trick. This is the key to being able to start up your saltwater aquarium and add fish within like the next couple of days without having a 30-day cycling process. Now that we have our aquarium set up, we're going to look into buying live rock. We're also going to look into buying live sand. And then lastly, I want you to buy your salt water and RODI water for topping off the evaporation. Okay, and then RODI. All right. So this right here will get you started, right? The main key factor that I want you to think about is the aquarium size. Now, how do you know what size aquarium you need? Well, first you want to think about what fish you want to keep, and then you'll figure out what size aquarium they will need long term. If you're just getting started, I recommend someone start off with anywhere between 20 to, let's just say, 55 gallons. With a 55-gallon, oh my goodness, you have so many options, right? When we're talking about a 20-gallon, you still got some decent options. I've set up 20 gallons and had a plethora of fish. I mean, I've had probably like 11 fish inside of that aquarium. Everybody was happy. Corals doing beautifully. Everything was good. So it's possible. But I knew eventually I would step it up to a larger aquarium. So if you're getting started, you might not want to just get a startup tank and then have to convert to a bigger aquarium. So let's just say you go with something like a 29-gallon. 29-gallon, I think if you're just starting off in the saltwater hobby, you may want to start off with something that's nice. Everybody know Nemo, right? I know y'all's probably thinking Dory, but Dory needs a large aquarium. Dory, the hippo tank is very large. But the clownfish, Nemos, you could either get the smaller oscillators, which are probably where I am from. They're only like 20 bucks a piece. You could get the fancier ones all the way up to $200 a piece, right? So keep in mind the aquarium fish you want to keep, fish you want to keep, max tank size they need, And I hope you're writing this down. Okay, so those are the main two factors when you're deciding on the size of an aquarium. Now that we have this, so we know what fish we want to keep. We know what we need to get started. Now we have to think about when you're topping off your aquarium with water evaporation, there's two ways of topping off your aquarium. You can get all DI water like I indicated right here, which you will buy at the same location you buy your salt water, or you can top it off with distilled water. Now, RLDI water is actually cheaper than distilled water. They are both good for aquariums, saltwater aquariums, but I would recommend the RLDI. Some people top off with tap water. I wouldn't recommend doing that. You know what I mean? I would not recommend doing it. It's a reason why. But again, if we're talking about a fish only with live rock, we're going to talk about that as well. FOWLR, fish only with live rock. FOWLR. I don't know if you've seen that before, but if you have or haven't, regardless, it is fish only with live rock. So that means a fish only aquarium. Those are a lot more forgiving than having an aquarium with corals. If you have corals, it might be a lot more, or it is a lot more sensitive. It is a lot more complex. You have to worry about a lot more than you have to worry about with just fish. The way that I'm setting this up and helping you set up your aquarium, this is only a FOWLR aquarium. If you're just getting started in the hobby, I suggest start off with just fish. Get an understanding of that. You can get a cleanup crew. But you should start off with just the fish because the corals is going to add a whole different element that may make you a little discouraged, right? And it also hit that pocket a lot more. Now, the cleanup crew, you can have that as well with just a startup aquarium. Now, this is a starter pack right here. You can have cleanup crew with that. What the cleanup crew is hermit crabs, it is snails. What that do is helps with the algae. It helps with any uneaten food that your clownfish or whatever fish you decide to keep don't eat. So when it hits the bottom, you got hermit crabs and snails is going to eat that. As far as hermit crabs, just get the cheapest, bundle pack. You know what I mean? They're probably like $1.99 each hermit crab. Make sure you get some extra shells to throw in there so as they grow, they can change out their shells. That's pretty cool. But make sure you're getting the kind of snails that's a little bit smaller if you have a smaller aquarium, because if you get like turbo snails, yeah, they do a great job, but a lot of the time they starve out because you don't have enough algae inside that aquarium to make sure that they're fed. I like the Neisseria snails because they burrow in the sand and they keep your sand, your substrate agitated. You know what I mean? A lot of the other snails, they will not bury themselves in the sand. They don't help with aerating your substrate. But Neisseria snails will do that. So those are really good snails to have. And as far as the other kind of crabs, they have like the Sally Lightfoot. Those are pretty cool crabs to have, especially when they're molting. They look like spiders in the water. But you have some options for the cleanup crew. All of those are okay when we're talking about a starter aquarium. Those are fine. Now, after you have been in a saltwater hobby for, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, and up, then you could probably start grabbing some corals if you have it set up for corals. I mean, now we're talking about we need a skimmer. What a skimmer does is it removes the solids from your aquarium before it becomes a problem and harms or changes up the water quality of the aquarium. Now, it uses a bubble for that. You could get hang on the back refugiums, which is HOB. You could get the refugiums to go inside of a sump. If you have your tank set up like that, you might not. For the smaller aquariums, my go-to is the hang on the back skimmer right there. I have one on my 37 gallon. It works beautifully. I have a larger one that's on my 225 gallon and it's inside of the sump. Again, works beautifully. The bigger one for the 225 works great. The smaller one for the 37 gallon works great as well. Now when you're stepping up to the corals, you're going to need a more expensive light. Now we're talking about Kessel. We're talking about Um, just look up the best lights for corals. You'll see them. The price is going to range from probably about $300 all the way up to probably $1,000. You know what I mean? Kessels are usually about $500 a piece. Those are great lights for your aquarium when you're having corals and things like that. But again, now we're talking about the bucks, because you're going to have to add different chemicals to your water. You're going to have to add trace elements. You're going to add calcium. You're going to add magnesium. You're going to have to feed the corals. Again, that's why I say allow yourself to get an understanding of the basics right here. Keeping a couple of fish, whether it's two, that's a couple, right? But if you want to start adding other fish later on, let's just say you want to add, a world grandma. You want to add a couple damsels. You want to add a couple of green chromis. You can. You could definitely add, let's give you some fish that you could start off with. Let's say, definitely, I'm always a fan of telling people to start off with some clownfish. Why? Because those are almost like the go-to. Most people, when they get started in the saltwater hobby, the clownfish are a couple of the fish that makes them want to get started, with Dory. You know what I mean? Especially if you have kids. So those are great starter fish, believe it or not, especially if we're talking about the more affordable Ocellaris clownfish. You could go with some damsels. They have, I don't know why I spelled it like that, added an F on that, damsels. So they have a bunch of different kind of damsels. They have domino damselfish. They have the striped damselfish. They have yellowtail damselfish. They have solid blue damselfish. I mean, they have a bunch of different options for you with the damselfish. Now, let's talk about the green chromis. Green chromis are a schooling fish, but they do make great beginner fish. They're not as expensive as some of the other saltwater fish. None of the fish on this list that I'm adding is one of the fish that's going to really hit the pockets hard, right? Clownfish are probably going to be the most expensive on here. But you could add all three of these. You could get 2 clownfish, 2 damsels, and 2 chromis and put it inside of an aquarium, and they'll be fine. This is all still starter. Now you have about 6 fish in your aquarium. It's looking really good. You got live rock. You got live rock with caves. You got live rock that's bridges. You know what I mean? So you can make your own caves. So you can make your own swim throughs. I'm a big believer in making the setup in a way to where it's not just a solid decor piece. You have the swim through so they can swim to the back. So you can see through to the back. You know what I mean? Don't make your aquarium where you just got this big bulk of rock sitting in the center of your aquarium and all they could do is swim around it. So basically, if you do it like that, you're taking up swim space that your fish could actually use because you set it up that way. Now, live rock does cost more than dry rock, but the reason why we're getting live rock, live sand in saltwater is because the live rock will have beneficial bacteria already on it. The live sand will too. When you buy your saltwater, you already buy it pre-mixed. Now, some places, I went to a pet store and they literally get the saltwater in and they sell it just as is. No, I don't need help, Papa. And they don't even touch it. They don't make it there. Somebody else make it. And the water it grew algae sometimes just sitting in the store. You know what I mean? So it already had bacteria already in the saltwater. So if you follow this method right here, you 100% be able to start up your aquarium, and in 2 to 3 days, you can start adding some of these fish. Now, if you want to add other fish, again, make sure of the size tank that they need. That is of the utmost importance. And I would start there. So hopefully this gives you enough to get started with your very first saltwater aquarium. This is the method that I followed, and this is what I've learned over the years of keeping saltwater aquariums. It's extremely simple. Anything more that you need to know, you're going to definitely have to do some research. But this right here will allow you to get started with your saltwater aquarium today, and then by Tuesday, you can add your first fish. I would not add all 6 at the same time. You might lose some fish that way. I would start off with these clownfish. These clownfish right here first. I would start off with those clownfish. And then after I waited, let's just say 2 weeks, I would go ahead and I would add those in. Now, when you buy your fish, 2 weeks later, when you buy your fish, saltwater is a bit different. You 100% want to ensure that your fish are healthy as possible, especially if you don't have a quarantine tank. I mean, you're looking for all the signs. Ick, flashing. You're looking to make sure that none of the fish inside of the aquarium is sick, has ick, sunken abdomen, flashing. All of those are things you look for especially when we're talking about the saltwater aquarium. It's a lot harder to treat, but one bottle of medicine that I would highly recommend that you get and keep on hand is Copper Safe. It is a Fritz product, and you will thank me. So make sure that you keep a bottle of Fritz on hand just to ensure that you have any ick, any velvet, anything like that saltwater fish get that's extremely hard to get rid of. You're ready for it. So that's all I have for you. I just wanted to go ahead and make this video. I know a bunch of y'all been asking me about how do I get started in the saltwater hobby. You know, I got the playlist right there. And, you know, I feel like that this might be a better way of showing you all when we're going step by step on how we do this. Like I said, hopefully y'all wrote this down. If you didn't, go ahead and rewind this and get your pen and paper out and write down the steps. And, yeah, so I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that you learned something. I hope that you're inspired by something. Before we go, I will show you this list. Don't say nothing about my handwriting, but I will catch you all later. Have a great day. Let's take a look. So there you go. Aquarium lid, light, heater, circulation pump. You need to make sure you know the fish you want to keep, max size tank they need. Once you have the tank, we're going to get live rock, live sand, salt water, and your RODI water. Use RODI water to top off the aquariums. We're talking about a FOWLR aquarium, fish only with live rock. You can get a cleanup crew. Once we start talking about corals, you're going to have to think about the skimmer, the type of skimmer, whether it's in the sump or a hang on the back skimmer. And all of this is for your first saltwater aquarium. Now, after a few days, you can go ahead and grab you a couple of fish. We're going to start off with these clownfish, get a pair. Then 2 or 3 weeks later, we can go ahead and get some damsels along with the green chromis. And we are going to make sure we have Copper Safe on hand. Here's a quick look on how the starter kit would start out. This is a 29-gallon aquarium. That would be the hang on the back filter. You can go with the hang on the back filter method. We got the light, we got the heater, and by gosh, how did I forget the filtration? I don't know how I forgot that. We are going to have to talk in depth about the filtration on this. Let's get to that. Wow. So I forgot to mention filter. I don't know how. That is one of the most important things. I don't know how I missed that. So taking a look at this 29-gallon aquarium right here, you can set up a sponge filter for a saltwater aquarium of that size. You can use a hang on the back skimmer, which this would actually be perfect. This is a FOWLR Aqua Clear 50. I would actually do a 70 on this 29-gallon, so the water will turn over 3 times within the hour. You could get a sump. You could probably do an internal filter. You have a bunch of different options, but you want to make sure you have that filter. You want to make sure that you have proper filtration. I've always been a fan of turning the water volume over 3 times once an hour. So as long as you do it that way, you're good to go. So again, for those of the people that dropped off before we got to this point, they might have missed that part. But for those of y'all that are still here, I do apologize that I forgot to add that onto the list early on. But I'm glad that I did catch it before the video was over. So I don't have to drop it in the comments when I'm editing the video like, oh, I forgot that. So yeah, heater, light, skimmer. Heater, light, circulation pump, filter, aquarium with lid, aquarium. That's the starter pack. And then, like I said, live rock, live sand, buy your salt water. And on a weekly basis to bi-weekly basis, you should be doing water changes. When you change the water on your aquarium, you do this with salt water. When you top off the evaporation in your aquarium, you do this with RODI water. You might see people online saying the tap. I don't recommend tap. You'd never hear me say do tap. But if you want to choose to do tap water, it's your fish, your aquarium. It's your right. Do it however you want to do it. You didn't get that information from me, though. But anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Hope that you learned something. Hope that you're inspired by something. This time we are really up out of here. So happy Sunday, y'all. Have a great day. And get prepared for Monday because tomorrow is coming quick. See you then. Peace.